This episode of the SwitchCast is produced by Cody, Andre Fernandez, our honored patron and Switch Knight.
Hey everyone, I'm KC.
And I'm JV.
And this is the SwitchCast, the podcast for the Switch prognosticator.
Oh.
Or enthusiast.
Same thing.
Okay, pretty much here. We have a huge show for you today. This is a big E3 prediction episode in addition to all the other stuff that we always do on this Switch podcast. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of news. We're going to read your feedback to what's going on in the Switch world, and we spent this weekend playing the ARMS test punch, so we have a lot to talk about with that and so much more here this week.
Absolutely. Honestly, there was a little bit of a lull over the past few weeks, but we're really picking it up again and taking it up a notch with Switch news.
Yeah, sometimes they gotta catch their breath, and they just gotta prepare and let people just enjoy. Like, it was the week after Mario Kart came out. It's like, why announce anything? That's all people are gonna be playing for, for a while.
Exactly.
But we're just a couple of weeks away from E3, and by popular request, because everyone keeps asking us what we think of what's gonna happen or what we're looking forward to, we're gonna just get it all out of our system today.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. It's kind of like the situation we had before the Switch was actually released, where speculation is abound and people are really guessing what's going to be on the E3 announcements. And we'll definitely share our opinions in this episode.
Full disclosure, we're not any smarter than most of you people, so our guesses are pretty much as good as yours, but we just going to share our inklings as a good topic conversation and just maybe share more or less what we're hoping for, even if it's things that we don't really have any reason to believe they will or will not be announced.
Right. This is all purely speculation on our part, and honestly, there's not too much that can be substantiated here, that most people or most companies probably won't bother releasing any information out there unless it's unintentionally leaked.
Speaking of announcements, though, we had made last week our announcement of the SwitchCast Premier Grand Prix tournament for Mario Kart 8, in which we will be giving away an NES Classic, and we have posted on Facebook and Twitter the sign-up sheets for that. It's just a quick survey, kind of getting an idea of where you're located, what times you can play. We have about 25, 26 entries so far, and that's a great start. I really think this prize deserves even more turnout, though, so I'm going to keep spreading it out there. We won't have an official set of rules until the prize is securely in JV's lap, and it has not showed up yet, has it?
No, it has not, but we're looking forward to it, and once we have it, we are good to go.
Roger that. Yes, it's being shipped.
Roger. All right, and I wanted to give out a quick shout-out to Kevin J. Set for setting up a Switch Fest in L.A. They gave us a couple pictures within the Facebook community, and it looked like a ton of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that these Switch Fests are actually spreading out beyond New York, which seems to be the epicenter of Nintendo activity. The fact that it's all the way over on the West Coast is really good. I can't wait until there's something going on, in my neck of the woods in South America or Southern North America.
JV, who's coming to us live from Argentina right now.
Oh, indeed. No, Southern North America. That's what I mean.
And speaking of Switch meetups, one of our own, Draco Augustus, just told us that he's actually starting his own Houston Switch Club, and I just wanted to give a shout out to that here. We'll probably have links to that in the Discord, and maybe he'll make a post in the SwitchCast Facebook group in case you're in that area. Definitely anyone who wants to start up more of these groups, we think that's the perfect thing. That's why we're here, to help promote more of these social gatherings. So don't hesitate to let us know, and we'll be happy to give a shout out to any of your groups, because if our voice can get more people to be aware of your meetups and drive them there, that's all the more fun for all of us to share in. So
absolutely. And it's thank you so much, Draco Augustus, for taking the mantle to organize something like this. Houston is, not too far away from where I am, so I might be able to drop by and hang out.
Oh, yeah.
Someday in the future.
That's right. Yeah, and there was even one more. I forgot to write this down, but Sergio's also running in our Facebook group a Street Fighter 2 tournament. Not to take away any of the momentum from the Mario Kart 8 tournament, but it is a whole other thing. He's made a poster. I think he asked me to post it, so I'll probably put that on there too tomorrow. But that's another big event if you're into the fighting game scene. I don't think there's any particular prize, just a fun get together with the group online.
Yeah, it's always fun just to compete with each other in the tournament format, even if it's not for a prize.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be an amazing, Hope Diamond level of reward that is the NES Classic, I guess.
Glory is its own reward.
That's right. Well, let's get right into our playtime here, because we have so much to go over this week, so let's dive in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, so last week, actually, you teased a little bit to me that you just downloaded Thumper for the Switch from the eShop, and you just told us it was a rhythm game, and you hadn't really touched it yet, so I'm very curious to hear how that's actually working for you, if you've gotten some more time to sink your teeth into it.
Oh, absolutely. This game has enthralled me, Casey. It's an interesting take on the rhythm game franchise.
Okay.
Or the rhythm game genre. So, I guess, to start off my quick explanation about it, it's an on-rails rhythm game. It's a pretty unique take. Oh, if you look at a screenshot, you can see that the perspective is kind of similar to something like Audio Surf instead of Rock Band or VOEZ. You're on a rails and you go around and the beats come at you for you to deal with. However, what really sets it apart is the atmosphere of the game.
Okay.
Yeah, while you're pressing, specific inputs in time with the music, like a typical rhythm game, the overall mood of the experience is very different. It's actually kind of dark and oppressive. So instead of celebrating the music and playing along with the beats, it almost feels like you're getting attacked by the rhythm. I have heard some people use the word it's a more aggressive rhythm game. Right. It feels like you're fighting back against the sounds, the symphonic or electronic sounds that are pulsating towards you. It feels
Rage
like
against the music.
Yeah, it feels like, a fight instead of just you playing music, which is such a strange take on this. I guess the controls are actually pretty simple, which is probably by design. You control your little metallic beetle through a track, and you mostly just utilize the A button with the joystick to press the inputs. So while you're running through the track, markers and pulses, I guess pulses would be a good way to put it, will instruct you to do various inputs related to the A button and joystick in specific rhythms. So sometimes you see two pulses coming towards you, you press A twice on the beat, and then if there's a rail on the side that's going to hit you, you press A while doing a certain direction to avoid it, etc., etc., and that just comes at you in a rhythm. Is the music, is it purely like a rhythmic kind of like a techno thing, or are there actual like songs in this game? So it's not, there aren't any actual songs to the game. It's just a series of rhythms that you play throughout a long running beat. So it's just dun 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 boom dun dun boom, like that type of stuff. I gotcha. Does it kind of remind you of Rez? Yeah, that's actually a pretty good way to put it. It is Rez, but as trippy as Rez looked, this game definitely has a more psychedelic aesthetic and view to it. Okay. It really has that psychedelic feel. And what's actually even, I guess, a little creepier is that if you miss a rhythm sequence, you either lose out on point modifiers, or you actually shave off the shield of your beetle character. And if you make 2 mistakes before you are able to replenish your shield, you actually just die and you have to start that segment all over again.
So is it broken into the stages, or is it just like a endless runner type rhythm game?
So there are big stages, and each stage is divided into about 13 or so small segments.
Okay.
So you're going on a rail, you're starting the stage, you're going through the rails, and then a rhythm sequence happens. Boom, 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 and then you take care of it, and then you do one final input that ends that little segment.
Okay.
And that immediately transitions you into the next segment, and then immediately transitions you to the next one, so on, until you reach the very end. At the end of each full round, or each full stage, you actually run into bosses that you have to defeat. Which is pretty interesting. I didn't expect that for this type of game.
Yeah, that's pretty unique for a rhythm game to have actual like bosses.
Right. The music really picks up the pace, starts getting even more oppressive sounding, and then you have to do more hectic rhythm patterns to input that final strike towards the boss that goes through the track. And then once you keep doing that enough times, then you defeat the boss. Cool. But it gets pretty hard sometimes.
Are the graphics like really cool? Are they? Or what kind of like imagery is on the screen? You said it was like psychedelic, so does that mean like there's a lot of swirling colors?
Right, it's psychedelic. It's like Audio Surf in the sense that you're going down a track and it's just you as your bug beetle moving forward through the track, and it goes up and down, sideways, like a roller coaster.
Okay. But
the graphics out in the distance are very psychedelic, trippy. There's lots of weird patterns and crystallized visual imagery. And once you run into one of those bosses, it almost seems like full-fledged Eldritch horrors that are trying to crush your soul or something.
Dang.
And yeah, it's obviously not as organic as Cthulhu or anyone from Lovecraft, but it's that type of surreal monster type thing that's really trying to get at you.
That's cool. Is it really hard, or did you find that it's pretty it has a good learning curve?
For me, it's a little tricky, because for me, I'm actually pretty good at rhythm games.
Mm-hmm.
There was a definite learning curve to the type of input that it requires, since some things seem a little, not necessarily unintuitive, but the timing really takes some getting used to. But once you get into the flow of how things work, it's difficult to pull off, but not difficult to actually put the inputs. The difficulty is the type of pattern that they're expecting you to input in order to get to the next level or defeat the boss.
Okay.
Which is a fun challenge to someone like me.
The one of the things that I'm always curious in these kind of games, a big and important thing for me at least, is how fast can you retry after you're taken out? Like when you die and you have to restart a section, how fast does it get you right back into things?
That's actually a good point. Honestly, as soon as you die, it starts you practically right back to the start of that little phase of the stage.
Okay, cool.
So you die, there's a transition period, and you immediately pick back up to the start of the stage and just keep going. It never felt frustrating when I died that it took too long to get back in the game. It felt like it was part of the rhythm to just die and come back.
Cool.
Which is good. When you're playing this game, while it is an oppressive, dark, very intense atmosphere and feel to it, once you're actually playing, you can really get in the zone, and it becomes pretty zen-like. It's something that you can play and really just focus your attention on to keep going.
Very cool. And how much was that game?
So the game was $20. Some people who aren't super interested in rhythm games or aren't interested in this type of gameplay whatsoever might not be interested or might not find $20 to be a good price for it. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I might have missed this game if I wasn't reviewing it for the podcast, and I enjoyed it.
Very cool, very cool. All right.
Yeah, I enjoyed this experience.
It's kind of fitting, though, because I actually just today downloaded, they had the update to VOEZ, which is the rhythm game I had been playing before this.
Okay, so it's a pretty rhythmic time for us.
Definitely, because I was looking forward to this. They mentioned that there was going to be an update with some new songs for the Switch, and it just came out today, and I didn't really get to dive in too much, but I got to get a feel for a few of the songs and try a couple of them out, and it's just cool that there was a nice free download with some new tracks. I think there was about 16 or 18 in all, and I was actually pretty happy with the variety they added, because VOEZ, like a lot of these kind of rhythm games, they have a lot of like the very rave kind of tracks, or just like house music, a lot of beats, cool sounds, not a lot of singing. They're not really kind of songs that you would sing to yourself, or they're not super catchy in my opinion.
Yeah, they're definitely rhythmic and have a very similar feel, and sometimes, in my opinion, it actually starts blending together and sounds kind of samey after a while.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I was happy that a lot of these songs had vocals and felt like actual, like, memorable songs. In fact, some of them gave me a feel of Oendan, like a little bit of Os Tatakai.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Or Elite Beat Agents to
Right.
people who, are only aware of the Americanized version.
Right, but it had like the J-pop feel to them, and that's the kind of song I really like in these games, especially when I don't know what the lyrics are about, but songs that feel like they could be the intro to an anime. One in particular, I think, was Smile Generation. I like this. It you know that feel. You love anime intros.
Yeah, I'm a fan of anime intros, yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely have a very specific feel to them, because they're trying to evoke the mood of the anime that it's going to be showing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this type of music really, really hones in on that.
Yeah.
That genre.
It just has a good upbeat feel. It kind of makes me feel happy, and that's what I'm looking for in rhythm games. Like, I like to feel inspired, which is why the Oendan / Elite Beat Agent series was so right for me, that they were just very positive games. Not like dark, not broody, not like, the system is down. It was like, it was just, very, very good messages of hope. And especially these kind of songs. Again, I don't know what they're singing because they're J-pop, but you definitely can get that feel. And that's what I like to play on the way to work. And, there were some other like instrumental bits, one called Wonder Wing. I love this one with a lot of violins going on. The gameplay is exactly the same. I mean, they always have some cool tricks on the stages, but, just some more songs for free makes it even more worth it, I think. If anyone's still looking for, and Thumper's not up your alley, VOEZ is probably is still a solid choice.
Yeah, I can definitely sense that the moods of our two different rhythm games are vastly different.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool that VOEZ is releasing these updates as free downloadable content.
Yes.
Since they already have your money, they technically don't really need to support this game any further.
Right.
And the fact that they're doing it is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if they haven't said anything about it anymore, but who knows? They might, release future updates and keep people interested in supporting the game. But yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So the real big thing that we had been planning, though, this week, I think that we want to really talk about is actually the free demo we got this weekend of the ARMS Test Punch.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, that song got stuck in my head like crazy.
Robert
this weekend
telling me how he would just put it on like before when the demo wasn't even up, when the Test Punch wasn't even running, because he just wanted to listen to that song.
Well, it's honestly pretty it's pretty upbeat and gets you pretty pumped to the game.
Yeah, no, it's a very unique sound, definitely. So how many times did you get to play out of the many windows last weekend?
So I got to play in 2 of the numerous windows that were available this weekend, and I enjoyed my experience with it. Did you get to play it?
I got to play for 2. One of them I was on the Discord chat talking with some of the people while we were playing, and the other time I was actually at a friend's. I was out. It was the middle of a Sunday, so I was out. But I was like, oh, hey, it's 2:00. let's go, let's just go in for like,
Try this out.
Yeah, do this for an hour, and then we head back out. So I got to play at someone else's house, which is why I wasn't on the Discord with anybody at that time there. But I was, it was great to try it out with somebody else there.
Okay.
All right, so first things first, when you picked it up, what was the first type of controls you tried out?
So that's a very good question, actually. I had already had experience with the motion controls during the various demos at conventions that we had.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I booted up the game, I wanted to try out the physical controls.
Okay,
the
button
non-motion controls. Yeah. It took a lot of getting used to, but I got used to it after a while.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to try it out because I did demo it with the motion controls also, but I did want to kind of see if I can focus on that. I knew it was going to be a big question, which controls, but I started off with motion controls and really tried to feel them out now that we had some actual character selection, and I kind of had an idea of what the different weapons were going to do.
Right.
I mean, well, I'll say this. First match while I'm doing the motion controls, I couldn't sit down. I ended up getting up. I'm in a boxing position in the middle of my living room. And I just got into it. I just felt like I was there and that I felt like I needed to throw the punches. Now, was I playing good? No, I was playing horribly. I couldn't quite time my punches to be separate. I kept throwing throws instead of punches because I'd be trying to do a 1-2. I wasn't quite moving quite right. I wasn't switching. I think that's all stuff that will come together for me if I stick with it and practice with that in time.
Yeah.
But for 1 hour of playtime and no real chance to demo it against a computer to kind of get the feel for those controls,
right,
I switched over to button controls pretty fast just because I needed something. I want to be competent at this game. If I'm only playing for 1 hour, I want to have an hour where I'm decent.
Yeah. And how did that turn out for you?
Okay, yeah. After a little bit of trying to finagle my way back into the tutorial, just to kind of learn the controls there, I did feel it. I was like, okay, it makes sense. The L and the R buttons for the different punches, getting used to the jump and the dash buttons on the controller. And it came together. It took me like 2 fights, but I started winning or at least even if I'm not winning, I was doing a good battle once I figured out those controls, and I think they work out pretty well, actually.
Yeah. So if you guys didn't actually try the standard controls, you use the left joystick to move your character around, and you actually use that same joystick to curve your shots too.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can press the triggers to throw punches, or I believe it's X and Y.
Yeah,
and then you can do I believe it's A to jump and B to dash.
I think it was X and Y to jump and dash, and then A and B.
X and Y to jump and dash.
Yeah, because it was like the Zelda jumping.
Right, exactly. So it felt like it worked pretty well for me. Though I did go back to motion controls in the end to see if I liked that better. And the motion controls treated me pretty well also.
I think I can get into motion controls, and I will try to, when I can play against a computer and just really
practice.
Get that. I have to train my body, I think, because it's a totally different mindset to tell your hands to not to just throw a flurry of punches, like your hands want to just punch the guy, but you're like, no. I just want to throw one punch and then wait for it to finish its animation. And
right. And when I was playing with a couple people, I saw people just keep shaking the Joy-Con, even if they only want to punch once.
Yeah.
They're like, punch, more punch. But it takes time for that punch to go forward, hit the enemy, and come back.
Yeah.
You can't just spam it. And that kind of messes up your inputs too. So when it comes to motion controls, I felt like I really had to be mindful and deliberate of every movement that I made.
Yes, absolutely.
And I feel like that's probably part of the skill of the motion controls, and something that people who are, not used to that type of control scheme, it's something that they might miss.
Yeah, you have to retrain your brain for this kind of game, I think. It's a control scheme that's unlike any others, so we're going to have to overcome. In fact, another thing Robert mentioned is that his karate training kicked in while he was playing, and that he kept doing moves that, were a little counterproductive, so he had to switch to the buttons.
Right. And yeah, I definitely want to stress you have to be deliberate with everything you do in this game, because once you make a move, you're committed to that move for a little bit of time.
Yeah, definitely.
Until your next move becomes available.
I will say, I did notice some of the players in it obviously had achieved at least a certain level of tactical know-how in the game. Those item drops, for example, where you can get your stamina back if you're in a certain circle. Right. I noticed, this one player, I could tell he was probably one of the more experienced people at this game, though. He guarded it so well. He knew I wanted to get into that circle, and he didn't, charge at me. He just kind of, kept me at bay rather than aggressively, coming at me. He knew I was going to come to him, so he just kind of really zoned me out of it, and very effectively. And I thought that was... I had to admire. I was like, wow, you just did a really good job, and he understood that part of the game.
Yeah, and this is why when they announced that they were going to have items in the game, I was a little skeptical, honestly, because of the whole Smash Brothers situation and the randomness of it. But the way they're implementing items in ARMS makes me feel like it's actually going to be a pivotal part of strategic gameplay, as opposed to it being a random factor that people have to adapt to, like in Smash.
Yeah, it's not over the top. It's an objective. It's a thing to, kind of structure the fight a little differently here and there. But yeah, it's not like Smash where just a thing comes down and blows everybody up.
It's a point that people have to fight around, have to consider, but it's not something that'll swing the tide in your favor randomly without any sort of execution involved.
Exactly.
Which is cool.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think it's nice.
Now, I do find this interesting because this is definitely a different fighting game style than what you're used to, Casey. And I was very curious to see what you thought of this type of gameplay.
It's not combos, right? Which is my one bane of fighting games. I hate having to memorize. Right. Okay, I've hit
long strings of combos just to deal a certain amount of damage.
Right. It's I've hit him, but since I didn't memorize this button combination, I don't do as much damage as he does me. No, it's positioning. It's a little bit instinctual. It's a little bit of reading. And if you successfully break his defenses and you find a way to get your punch in, you do the damage. Great. And that's it. You don't need to do it doesn't test any skills, I feel, that are out of place in this game. I break your defense, I get a hit in, and did I invest in a big fist or did I invest in a multiple shot light hit? Using those things, the only combos you might need to know is, all right, I want to throw this fist, this weapon at this angle, and then follow it up with this if he reacts in, Y
a certain way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You might want to memorize your plan of attack for certain situations. And that's totally game for me. I ate this up a lot. Yeah,
okay. I'm so glad to hear that, because honestly, I was a little skeptical about how you specifically would receive this game.
Yeah, I mean, even someone who was definitely, like I said, I was playing that guy who was better than me. And he really owned me in that match. But you know what? I never felt like it was unfair. I felt like I walked into his traps and I could see what I needed to learn from it. I could see what he was doing, and it wasn't that, all right, I have to go memorize something, or he's doing something, I don't even know what. He's doing cancels or something like that. No, I could very clearly understand why I couldn't get into that circle.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm really, really excited to see everyone's build compositions, the different types of fists that they're going to bring in, and the combinations that people come up with on that front.
Speaking of different builds, did you ever go against Helix and his shield?
I probably did, but I didn't remember specifically that experience. Why? What's up?
He was weird. Like I said, he's weird, but I almost kind of want to learn him now because
oh yeah,
that shield that he has, like you throw it out, it stays in place. And then if you punch with that fist again, it kind of, finishes the second half of its journey and either smacks the enemy or just comes back. And that opened up so many interesting possibilities with different people, both when I was doing it, like putting up the shield and then launching a punch arced it over the shield, or, just kind of like positioning it and zoning people out of places. I don't know. It just seemed like a lot of potential with the way he moves and stuff. I was very intrigued by him, even though I still think he's a weirdo that I hate.
He's a weirdo that you hate, but you're kind of intrigued, so maybe it's a love-hate situation.
Maybe.
Well, honestly, it's maybe you would consider playing him if it's a playstyle that fits what you're looking for this type of game.
I think he might be. That's the thing, is the fact that he has that like he has a lot of options with the way he can place that shield. And maybe another character I think has a shield too. I think Twintel actually has a defensive option like that too.
Yeah, right.
But I don't.
In my part, I didn't really have too many problems against the shield since I mostly played Mechanica and the Mummy.
Okay, I played Mechanica too most of the night actually too.
Okay, but I played Mummy,
Master Mummy.
So I mostly played Master Mummy, and he has the option to shoot one of these birds that really just go around enemy defenses, like the shields, and it's something that I used as a punishing attack.
That's cool.
Which is pretty good.
Now, what did you think of that lobby system it uses?
I actually kind of like it. I dig it a lot because it essentially puts you into a group of about 10 to 20 people, and since the game doesn't support that many simultaneous players at once, it pairs you up and groups you up randomly based on who's available at the time. And I was kind of curious and interested to see who I was going to fight next.
Yeah, it's a really cool system. I could see it working really well in even just local groups of players. You have a group of 10 people, and rather than pass the controller to me, pass the controller to him or whatever, it's just, all right, I'm on this Switch, and it knows these are the other 9 people that want to play, and then, all right, you two are in a one-on-one, you guys go in a 3-player free-for-all, and whatever other modes, I guess, that you'll probably switch on and off to be allowed. And yeah, it's just a very convenient way to keep the action going and not have people have to move around and pass controllers.
Yeah, exactly. And I liked that it's diversified the gameplay a little bit by changing up how many people you're going to fight and what type of modes you're going to experience.
Yes.
What I also liked was that it had its own internal ranking system. So if you won, you got more of points that are displayed next to your name.
That's true.
So the more you win, the more you see that this guy is actually winning a lot, and he's pretty good. So when I got paired up with that high-pointed person, I knew it really had to buckle down and try to get this guy down. And that type of setup was actually pretty exciting to me. And I liked that diversity, and it kind of builds a small storyline with each lobby, and it's a great way to do it. And I wish more fighting games or games in general had this type of dynamic matching system.
Actually, that's a really good point, because I can see, again, it's similar to the Mario Kart 8 tournament system. You just have this one little room and we rack up points. I feel like it's even more applicable to a fighting game, though, because, maybe we just have like, all right, 10 people playing for the night. We'll say, all right, at the end of the hour, it's a pretty good idea of who the top players were, whether you want to do it tournament style or if you were just like,
round robin.
Yeah, or just want to see who was the best of the night. We just play for an hour, get an idea of who's been the top dog for a while. And it's a pretty simple system.
Yeah, it's simple, but it's elegant in what it's trying to do.
Right, yeah. Definitely does the job. Okay, so of the different modes that it was switching between, what did you think of the ones that weren't just 1v1 battles?
So I actually liked 2v2 a lot.
Okay.
I didn't expect to like it since I was a bit skeptical about how being tethered to a second player works.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also a little bit skeptical about whether your teammate goes down, whether you'd be able to come back and make a comeback with that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed 2v2 a lot. I liked the various combinations and the hecticness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you have a dedicated teammate, it seems like there's lots of possibility for planned combinations.
Yes.
That seems like fun.
Yes, because focusing on a player is a really powerful strategy, but when you're focusing on a player, that also means you're vulnerable to the one that you're ignoring, because now they have kind of a free shot at you if you're not countering them. And it was hectic. I never felt it was just chaos.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like throws are pretty powerful in that too, since if you throw one player, you can drag the other player along with them, I think. So I think that could be a great disruptor.
Right. And I think I feel like 1v1 and 2v2s are going to have their own separate meta.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be interested in 2v2. It's kind of like in Pokemon how I highly prefer doubles over singles just because of the sheer amount of combinations and strategies involved with that.
Yeah.
So
and knowing when to switch,
that's a format that I might consider.
And knowing when to switch your targets is super important. And I found that a really interesting idea of when I need to focus on one and switch to the other. And that was one of the problems though I had with the motion controls. I felt reaching for the button to switch targets. That was the most annoying thing I felt with the motion controls, and probably the best advantage I had when I switched to buttons.
Right, and I feel like it definitely is going to have its own meta where you can throw out slower punches that might not be as effective by itself in single player, but that slow punch can zone out a certain area, putting enemies in a position for your teammate to follow through with.
Yeah.
And I think there's got to be strategies there. I think that's exciting to me.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about the 1v1v1 or the 4-player free-for-alls?
So I didn't really play those that much.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got paired into that mode, it felt a little bit like, just free-for-all Smash.
Okay, I can see that. I did feel like, I guess, like the way I played it at least was definitely I tried to stay back and get at least, just play defensively and then
right.
Try to at least like whoever the strongest guy is, catch him when he was, focused on someone else. But some people have complained that it has a little bit of a, if not a kingmaker, it can definitely be all right, which one of these random, like let's say you're all down to like your last 10 hit points, who is the one player who randomly gets selected to be double teamed? You don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's definitely, I don't feel it's going to be as competitive a mode, but it's definitely a fun mode.
Yeah, I like that the option is there regardless. If there's a 2v2 mode, it makes sense for there to be free-for-all mode like that.
Yeah. And
even if it's not the competitive format, sure, why not include it anyway?
Yeah, and it's a fun mode. I could see also though being happening. If you're playing with a group of people, and let's say there's the 3 people, they're thrown into, just to fill in some gap, a 3-player mode. People see, hey, that guy has 150 points. We're both at like 20. I think we need to focus on him because he's the stronger player. We need to gang up on the strong player.
Yeah, see, and then it might balance itself out in that way.
Might.
Who knows?
What about volleyball now?
So I didn't get to play much volleyball.
Oh, I felt like it was like
did you?
every third game of mine was a volleyball, if not singles, doubles volleyball.
Okay, that's interesting because for me, I played about 2 or 3 games, then I switched lobbies. 2 or 3 games, switched lobbies, and I never really got to play volleyball that much.
Yeah, we were in it pretty often. Generally, people weren't crazy about it. It was probably the yeah. I mean, the first couple times I played it, I had no idea how it worked, and I just stood there and got blown up by the volleyball a bunch of times. And then when I learned how to play it, I could tell I was playing against other people who either didn't know how it worked or were just like, no, I'm not playing this, and just would stand by and ignore the game until I won.
They just didn't care.
Yeah, they basically just didn't care about it.
Okay.
It's interesting. I mean, it's a fun mode maybe, but at least it's fast. It's just a matter of, there's a little bit of teamwork of knowing when to spike the ball up in the air and have the other player knock it over there. But again, it was, I could do without it. I probably won't play it when it comes out, but it doesn't hurt the game.
Yeah, all of these extra modes don't hurt the game. I definitely want to stress that. If you don't like a mode like V-Ball or the upcoming Hoops, it's an option that you can completely ignore in this game. But if you happen to like it, then it's great that it's there.
This weekend, they're actually switching it up. This weekend, they're going to have the slam dunk mode and that target practice mode thing.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Those will be the side games instead of volleyball. So it does sound like if you make a lobby, you can pick which games will be available for the people to be put into.
Right, and I wonder if they're taking this time to see how people receive certain modes. And I wonder if that'll play into future events for this game.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Oh, and you said you used Master Mummy the most, right? You said, or
yeah, I used Master Mummy. I like Mechanica thematically, and her obviously she's a mini mech pilot, and I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I do like Master Mummy's regenerative abilities and the fact that his a lot of his punches are very deliberate and heavy hitting, and I like that style. Apparently,
Nintendo did reveal though who the most popular characters for the day were, and apparently Ninjara. Not too surprised, he's a ninja. He was the most popular, and followed closely up by Min Min.
Yeah, I can see those being the popular ones. They're definitely the characters that stand out the most with the 5 initial revealed.
Yeah, I love Mechanica. She reminds me of Luca from Chrono Trigger, and I'm totally in on that. And
really? She actually reminds me more of Tronbon from
I could see that
Mega Man Legends.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we have our own little take on her. She could also be Diva, but she's not quite.
Because her robot looks like Gato to me. Anyway.
I can see it. No, I can definitely see it. But it also looks like Tronbon's mech. If you look at it.
I don't remember I didn't play the Trombone game, so that's
okay.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything. We'll play some more this weekend, and we'll get a little
And obviously, when the game actually comes out, we'll dive really deep into what we think about it.
Yeah. But, honestly, everything I've heard, I feel like 80% of the people have been saying, either this put them over the top, if they were on the edge, and if they weren't thinking about buying it, they're a little bit more like, all right, maybe I will buy it a month after or something like that. It really seems to have created a positive effect.
Yeah, which is definitely a good thing and what Nintendo's looking for these test punches.
All right, let's get into the news rundown, and we'll blow through that before we get into our E3 predictions. All right, news rundown, and we had a whole bunch of games. Most of what we have to talk about here are new games that were announced or revealed in some manner or another, and I think there's really none that have got us more excited to talk about than Monster Hunter Double Cross.
Monster Hunter Double Cross! So good, so excited. I'm hyped for this, Casey.
I mean, it's like... we knew it was going to be announced sooner or later. Like, there's no doubt that Monster Hunter was going to come for the Switch.
Yeah, and they were even being very coy about it when the 3DS version came out. I know there were articles and interviews saying that people asked if it's going to be on the Switch, and they were like, I don't know. Just make sure to enjoy it on the 3DS. And they were very coy about it, and now it's finally announced. It's coming on the Switch, and yes. I couldn't be more excited about this.
And they showed it on the live blog, and we got a trailer of it, and I think the one really cool and not totally expected feature that it had was just the straight-up cross-platform playability between the Switch and the 3DS versions.
Right. You can't do it wirelessly locally, but you can play online multiplayer with 3DS players, which is insane, but makes total sense.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, because we still have a lot of people who are probably they're still their first platform to play this series on, because not everyone invested in the Switch. It's going to increase the player pool because, if it was just the Switch player pool, it would, this game really needs you to have that online play to enjoy it. And the wider the player pool, just the more fun you're going to have with it. So that's that's more of a feature for the Switch than it is for the 3DS players.
Well, it also makes sure that the 3DS players don't feel so bad investing in the game that's already out. So it makes their game not obsolete when the Switch platform version comes out. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, maybe they'll just have like more high-tech equipment than us and get the little bragging rights.
Yeah.
I saw those airships they have. I guess it looked like that was part of the multiplayer thing. I'm extrapolating a lot from this, but it looked like that would be your home, and that you get to customize your little airship, and then they all kind of link up in the multiplayer. Up to 4 of them I saw look like they had bridges across, and then you go and visit each other's little airships before you go out on the hunt.
Right, airships have always been a pretty big thing in the Monster Hunter universe. And it's definitely cool that you can customize your own airship in a way.
I'm used to just sand ships. I mean, I've seen airships in them before, but usually it's like those sand ships in most of the games I've been playing in the past.
Yeah, I guess technically, airships, sand ships, it just depends on how high up it is.
0 or 0. Anything above 0.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we don't really have too much to talk about it right now, but just the fact that it exists, I'm over the moon.
Yeah, it makes us happy. We're big fans of Monster Hunter, some bigger than others, and you can imagine Rin from the previous episode is ecstatic as well.
It's funny because she was just on, and this is like her thing.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have to book her for whenever this is actually gives us any real details.
Yeah, we're going to play this, guys.
Oh, this will be the next really big community thing when this comes out. This is, obviously ARMS.
And
we got ARMS, we got Splatoon. I mean, this is the next, thing on our docket.
It's going to be one of those big ones.
Yeah, definitely. So look forward. If you don't know how to play Monster Hunter, if you've never played it before, this is the community to teach you, because you definitely need to have someone teach you to play Monster Hunter. It's not an easy game to get into, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to do a pretty good job. We'll bring you on a hunt or two, and we'll show you the ropes. Don't worry about it.
Totally.
A couple other little trailers. We had a Sonic Mania pre-order trailer, so you can actually pre-order this game now, and it's coming out August 15th. And it was a pretty cool little animation.
Yeah, and it definitely plays into the classic Sonic style, and really plays to your nostalgia of it.
Yeah,
pretty cool. Good stuff.
Yeah. Shantae, half genie hero, was revealed to be coming out June 8th.
Yeah, coming quite soon. I believe it's priced at $20, which isn't bad for these types of games. Cool.
Yeah, we've talked about it a couple times in case you want to go back.
Yeah.
A new game that we haven't heard of before, though, Square Enix revealed Lost Sphere. Sphear, of course.
Yeah, so is it like a spear? Like a circular spear? Sphere? Who knows what it actually is, but it's pretty cool that Square Enix is really starting to invest a bit more on the Switch, and I want to see them keep this up and bring in even bigger names to the platform.
The interesting thing, though, about this Lost Sphere game is that they said that you can buy it on the Square Enix shop, and I think that's all they've said it's available for.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder what that means, whether it's a physical copy or if it's some sort of integration with an eShop.
Yeah, they said it's a physical release, but only via the Square Enix online store, like as if it's not coming out in retail.
Right.
Interesting. So, weird.
Yeah, it might actually be a route that more publishers are taking. If they don't expect a game to sell very well in retail because it's such a niche title, they might just make it only available on their website, and that lets them control the both distribution and the manufacturing numbers. So
I'll leave a link to the game's webpage in the show notes, but it kind of looks like another, like a Chrono Trigger style RPG, and they talk about how it has very seamless transitions from world map exploration into the battle mode. So I'm thinking it's, again, Chrono Trigger style combat system.
Now, the next game is actually pretty cool. We talked about sports games in the past, or even in the last episode, I believe. And Golf Stories coming out to the Switch in early summer 2017, and that is definitely a different spin on the sports game genre.
You know what, though? It kind of is, but it kind of isn't. It's weird. It's like, it's almost like a Harvest Moon game that's centered around like a golf town.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a sports title because it's related to golf.
Yeah,
but it
you
is
play
more like
golf.
Yeah, in the game, but it has the art style similar to Stardew Valley. It has that same perspective, and it's all pixelated. It looks.
But you actually have to go around town. Like half the game is talking to the townspeople. You get missions. There's like you make friends with characters. There's even like a storyline. Like I remember watching the trailer and like one guy said like, "Oh, I have to get this information. Let me pretend to be your caddy on the next golf tour." And like he disguises, like there's a storyline to this, and there's a whole like kind of RPG element to it, but you're also playing golf in these like weird fantasy kind of locations.
Yeah, it's an interesting spin on it, and I like that these indie developers are really willing to go out of the box when it comes to their games.
That really is out of the box, yes.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I really want to see how this turns out. I want to play this at some point.
Yeah, go for it, Casey. This sounds like
It might be the Harvest Moon type of game I'm looking for, because you know what? Breaking up the just talking to people and doing the farming stuff with an actual kind of skill game like that, like this kind of weird golf game, might actually be a really like a odd formula that works.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, that's coming out summer 2017. So, and Cubix, which is kind of like a 3D Mario Paint, was shown off today.
Right. It lets you kind of create 3D little models based on cube pixels, and it's something that you use the touchscreen to control and form on the Switch.
Yeah, not sure all the capabilities. It looks like you could put them. I don't know if you're going to be able to animate them in some way, but they're kind of showing it off as just a pixel sculptor kind of game. And I don't know. We'll see what kind of functionality. That's kind of the main thing. If it's just making these sprites and that don't do anything, might not be interesting. But if it actually has a lot of functionality and a lot of creative stuff you can do, it could be pretty
right.
fun.
You know, and I am interested to see people's creations. This is something that could be a creative outlet for our community. That's something you guys can, especially the artistic
done it now,
types
JV. Someone's going to make a bust of your head in Cubix.
Oh my gosh. That would be kind of awesome. but I want to see.
And
I kind of want to see it
horrifying.
happen. Both horrifying because it's my mug, and awesome because it's a mug. So cool.
Yes. Blasphemous is a game that's on Kickstarter that looks like it has a Switch goal. So if you like the trailer I'm going to link to in the show notes, you might want to go there and help them reach that goal. But it's a pretty gruesome looking 2D platformer, fighting action game with a really weird kind of aesthetic.
It's I actually like the aesthetic for what it's trying to go for. It's dark, it's gritty, it's has occult themes. It reminds me a bit of Castlevania.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's definitely interesting. The animations, the pixelated animations look very smooth. It's bloody, it's violent, and yeah, I'm interested in seeing more of it, honestly. I like that this is a pixelated side-scrolling platform game that's really not holding back in how violent and bloody it is.
Yeah, right. Always weird. Always feels a little surreal on a Nintendo system.
Right, exactly.
Phantom Trigger, there's a new game announced by Tiny Build. Those are the people who did Mr. Shifty. And this kind of looks straight up like Hyper Light Drifter for Switch.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really cool because that was an awesome game, and it has that crazy kind of psychedelic coloring in the weird future.
Yeah, the
dystopia.
color scheme reminds me of Transistor. Have you ever heard of Transistor?
I played. Yeah. I have that on iPhone.
Bastion and Transistor. It has that color scheme, which I am so attracted to. The animations also look really good in this, and the perspective looks appealing.
And the action looks cool too. It has that kind of like Ninja Gaiden, like jumping around, and a lot of slashy kind of ninja attacks. Right.
It does look like a combination of Mr. Shifty and Transistor, honestly. Which
I can
not,
see that.
It's not a bad thing. This is something I'm interested in checking out, and yeah.
Now, we didn't get to talk about this. Well, we did talk about this last week, but we lost your audio. So I wanted to give you another chance to tell everyone about Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2.
Yeah. So the Xenoverse saga is actually a pretty interesting take on the Dragon Ball franchise. It's unique in a sense that you can actually create your own Dragon Ball character that exists and fights within the Dragon Ball world. And I know we mentioned this before, even before the previous episode. The character customization in this game is pretty dang cool.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Like, you could do all the different races from the Dragon Ball universe, like a Majin Buu or a Namek or a Saiyan or just a boring human if you want.
Yeah.
But they do always look like, when you make your character, they look like an original like Dragon Ball character.
Yeah. It looks like something deliberately designed by Akira Toriyama to be in the Dragon Ball world. Not all character creators can do that, so very impressive there. What makes Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 Switch version stand out above the console versions that have already been released is that it has local ad hoc multiplayer up to 6 players.
Oh, that's nuts.
Which is a big deal because most Dragon Ball games that have been brought to portable platforms like the 3DS or on the PlayStation, they haven't been as robust as this. And I know there are going to be a lot of anime fans and Dragon Ball fans that will find the prospect of Xenoverse 2 being playable on the go to be a selling point. This can be a selling point to a lot of those people who love anime-style games.
Now, these are like 3D fighters, basically, right?
Yes. It's it's essentially a 3D fighter, and
3D in that you unlike Tekken or something like that. Like you're actually using that third dimension to fly around.
Yeah, and move around, exactly. And it's the game's fun. And it's going to appeal to a certain fan base.
And the fact that it's number 2, you don't think is going to get in the way of anyone knowing what the heck's going on?
No, it's Xenoverse 2 because it's another take on the franchise. It has nothing to do with a recurring storyline, so don't worry if you haven't played Xenoverse 1.
Yeah, like I remember at least in these in general, the last one, it's very like time travel-y. Like you just jump into different scenarios from the Dragon Ball Z storyline that you know, like when Raditz first showed up, and you can jump into that fight, but it's almost like quantum leapy, like something's gone wrong, like the fight's not going the way it's supposed to, and your character has to show up and make sure Goku actually wins against some oddly powered up Raditz.
Exactly. So it's a pretty good take on it, and I'm just glad that this is becoming available to the Switch.
And just shooting off the last bits here, Magic the Gathering skin for Minecraft. There's actually a whole download pack where you can have the characters from the Magic the Gathering, like Jace the Mindbender and stuff, and play as them. Yeah,
so Gideon, Jace, Chandra, all of your favorite planeswalkers are going to be available on Minecraft, and
I assume there's some other little stuff thrown in there too.
Yeah, there's more to it. And as an added note, the DLC will also include Adventure Time packs. So I'm glad that they're really releasing all of these different skin packs to add more value to the console version.
If anyone's interested, I didn't want I cut this from last episode because I didn't think anyone would be interested, but I got a bunch of emails from people just randomly who mentioned that they listen to the show even though they don't own a Switch yet. So I'm just going to shout out here that there's a tour announced called the Summer of Play Tour, where Nintendo's going to be bringing Switches around for people to get their hands on in case you're not already convinced to buy it and maybe just want to try it out a little bit more. It's going to be going from June 9th till September 4th, and I'll leave a link in the show notes in case you want to see if it's coming to your city and when. Anyway, so the new releases, we're just going to go run down. We have, as I mentioned last week, we have Neo Geo King of Fighters 99 came out on the eShop. Astro Duel Deluxe is available. Ultra Street Fighter 2, The Final Challengers. Last Resort, which is a new Neo Geo classic. It's another space shoot-'em-up game. And we have Goner, which is coming out June 1st, which is, it just turned June 1st while we were recording, so that should be coming out today, and that's that cool little platformer that I'm hoping to get a code for. Procedurally generated platformer. Okay.
Huh.
Anyway, let's go into the little topic we wanted to discuss and give everyone our predictions for E3 this year.
Okay, let's do it.
So, I've compiled just a list based on everything that people have suggested that they want to see coming up for E3, and some of the things that maybe we think might happen, or we're going to just quickly discuss whether we think yes or no we're going to see at E3. So we're going to go over this pretty quickly and try not to deliberate too much because, again, we don't know. We're just guessing here.
Yeah. All right, let's run down. Go for it, Casey. Let's start.
All right, do you think we're going to get, first off, more ARMS information, like new characters, new mode, anything else for ARMS that you think that we haven't yet seen?
All right, so literally ARMS is going to be releasing in the West the same day or around the same weekend that E3 is going to be announced. So, of course, ARMS is going to be mentioned during the presentation. I doubt there's going to be anything super substantial, but I believe they're probably going to go over future plans, maybe a future character that they're going to release in ARMS, or signature weapons, future weapons. Mm-hmm. But probably not anything incredibly substantial, just a layout of what their plans are for the future.
I think there's a chance that we'll see at least kind of like what they did with Zelda. Like even right when it was coming out, they showed off what the first DLC pack was going to be, and they teased that. I think they're going to do the same thing. They're going to kind of give you an idea of, right, here's what the first DLC pack will give you, and get people excited even before it's out for, maybe they'll even announce like another season pass kind of thing. That might be their like new idea.
Right. We'll see. Now, speaking of ARMS, do you think they're actually going to release any more information about Splatoon 2? It's practically guaranteed that they're going to bring up Splatoon 2 at E3. There's no doubt about that. They might show off new weapons. They might show off new clothing options or a new mode or two. It's hard to say specifically what is going to be there, but you know for sure Splatoon 2 is going to be shown in some capacity.
All I think we're going to see is just some more storyline, which seems to be the way they're going with it, and maybe just a little bit more of that kind of teaser. Yeah. Metroid, that's something people have been asking about, and they are really hoping for.
Honestly, as much as I would love there to be a Metroid, there's no current indication that Metroid will be announced for the Switch. If there is, I feel like it's going to be something related to a re-release of something previously announced, as opposed to a completely brand new Metroid game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when people say Metroid, they're thinking of, like an actual Metroidvania. I don't think we're going to get that kind of Metroid. If anything, we might get some weird side story game like the what was that
Other M?
No, like the Marines game, whatever.
Federation Force?
Yeah, like Federation Force.
I feel like they made a mistake with Federation Force. And the next Metroid game, I feel, is going to be an actual Metroid game, but it might either be a re-release of Metroid Prime or something in that vein, as opposed to a full-fledged Metroidvania.
Mario, obviously, we're getting some Mario Odyssey. I don't think we're going to get too much more, because between the Mario Odyssey reveals and whatever maybe Mario Rabbids crossover we're going to see, I think that's pretty much it on the Mario front. We're pretty Mario'd full.
Really? I actually feel like they're going to lean on Mario Odyssey quite a bit in the E3. I feel like they're going to delve into that a lot.
I mean, we're going to get that. But I mean, other than that, I don't expect anything else other than Mario Odyssey, which we know is going to be there. I don't expect any surprises other than whatever the Mario Rabbids game is going to be. So we're going to get those two things that we kind of know are coming. I don't think there's going to be other surprises.
On the Mario front, at least. I can see that.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely Mario. Everyone's asking about that, and I think that that's definitely going to be a very big focus, right?
Right. Now, on the other shoe on that foot, Sonic. Do you think there's going to be a Sonic announcement?
Maybe a Sonic and like a Mario at the Olympics kind of thing.
You think so? Saw Mario and Sonic at the whatever Olympics the next.
You know what? If I did some research, I could tell you if there's any Olympics on the near horizon that would be appropriate. But I feel like it's been over a year. It has to be an Olympics coming up sometime.
Yeah. We might see a few additional clips of Sonic Forces. Sonic Mania might have a little bit of time being featured as well, but we already know that Sonic Forces is coming out and Sonic Mania is coming out, so I doubt they're going to delve too deep into that one, too. As
far as Star Fox is concerned, I think there's a chance. I think we might get the Switch port of the Star Fox Zero, or whatever that last one that came out on Wii was.
You think so? I feel like Star Fox Zero really relied so heavily on the separate gamepad that they might, if they're going to make a new... Yeah, it did. It actually got a lot of people a little bit put off by the control scheme, because you had to move your R-Wing within the screen like normal, but you had to aim with the gamepad.
Do you think that would be something that they couldn't just like rework? Do you think is it that integrated into the gameplay? It's
super integrated into the gameplay. Sometimes you had to face your R-Wing forward, but turn your body to the right side so that you can shoot to the side while you're moving forward.
I see.
And there's some gameplay elements dependent on that. They could retool a couple sections so that it doesn't need that type of control scheme, but I feel like at that point they might just release a new Star Fox, and I don't think it's soon enough for a new Star Fox game to be announced at this E3.
Okay. That sounds like a reasonable explanation there. I do think I think that they'll probably announce the Western release of Monster Hunter XX there. Yeah,
I will bet. I mean, I'm not gonna actually bet, but it's practically guaranteed that they're going to announce Monster Hunter Double Cross for the West at E3. The timing is just too perfect.
Now, what about here's the next big one. What about Smash Brothers?
Yeah, so this one's a bit of a tricky one because Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS is technically 3 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for them to improve on Smash 4. There's a lot of mechanics that they can tweak to make it maybe faster, or there's a lot of balance tweaks that they can implement. But they've really made Smash for the Wii U a platform that they can expand upon almost indefinitely. So,
do you think that they'll announce bringing it over?
Yeah, if anything, they could announce a Switch port of the Wii U version.
Okay, that's where I'm leaning on this one. I think that we might get confirmation, if not still in the distant future, that yes, Smash Brothers will be coming. They'll be porting the Wii U one. I think that's the next big, update or reboot or whatever you want to call it.
I'm definitely, I'm about 60-40 in favor of them having a Smash Bros. Snippet.
Okay, yes, that's all they need.
Yes, announcing something is coming up in 2018 or even 2019.
Because they did such a long build-up with Smash Brothers for the Wii U, and it took so long for them to kind of... They revealed every character every week. I think they'll do something even similar. Like, they won't go into it at E3, but once E3's over, they're going to start, like, every week. Here's, like, the next trailer teasing like the new characters coming to it,
right? Or a new item they're adding. It might be something that's actually a pretty good marketing strategy for them too.
Okay, next big one. What about the Pokemon series?
Oh man, I feel like it's still way too early to announce a new Pokemon game. As much as I'd love for there to be a Pokemon announcement, and I'd be ecstatic if I was pleasantly surprised, but I doubt there's going to be mention of that game until next E3.
I think it's going to get its own like direct,
right?
And that they'll do their own thing. They're not going to pile it up in the middle of E3 with other things that will steal spotlight from it.
I guess like Smash Bros, there's a chance that they're going to have a little bit of a teaser, but in my opinion, I feel like that's not even going to happen.
There was a news report, just to give one little snippet of hope to some people, that a store had posted a pack that had that Hori joystick that we showed you for the Switch before, packaged with Pokken Tournament. They posted a package deal of those two things for Switch, and then they had to take it away. And it even explain, it had a little description saying its compatibility with the system, and then they took it off. Again, obviously that's not confirmation. Who knows, that could just be a prank for all we know, but it's a snippet of hope for anyone who's praying for Pokken.
I am so clamoring for Pokken Tournament on the Switch. That's my dream game for the Switch, Casey. Really I
think we have a better chance of seeing that than Pokemon Stars at E3. Right. I'll say that much.
If there's a Pokemon announcement on the at this E3, it's likely to be Pokken. If anything.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. There we go. Donkey Kong Country.
This is definitely interesting. I doubt there's going to be a new Donkey Kong game for a while. We had 2 that was released on the Wii U, which were pretty well received, but I don't think they're going to dip into that until they dip into other of their IPs that haven't been touched as much.
Now, Animal Crossing, I have an interesting idea for what they might do.
What's up?
Now, we have heard word of the Animal Crossing iPhone app, right?
Right.
I think there might be a chance that there's going to be, let's say, whatever Switch one they announce, if there is an Animal Crossing for Switch, which seems fairly feasible for some time, that it will have a connectivity with the iPhone version of it, or that the iPhone version might connect to the online gaming app that they release. I feel like that kind of integration might be that special something that a Switch Animal Crossing could benefit from, that it can like almost cross-platform play, and your character can go and meet people who are playing the iPhone Animal Crossing in some way.
That would be incredibly cool, though I'm a little skeptical that they would do that. I feel like Nintendo isn't really well known for its cross-platform integration, at least in such a direct manner. If there's going to be some sort of cross-platform anything, I feel like if there's going to be a new Animal Crossing game on the Switch announced this E3, it'll start trying to figure out more ways to utilize the amiibo cards and the amiibos for the Animal Crossing game franchise.
This is my long shot, but you know what? It's an idea. It's something I see, and I think that it's not a one. It's better than a 1 in a million shot. I think that it's something interesting that I think they're definitely getting more open to cool mobile ideas like this, and we've seen a lot of cool mobile games come out of them. I think that this would be an interesting next step for them to kind of do.
A while back, they did delay Animal Crossing for the iPhones, for the phones. If they might be delaying it to include Switch integration, who knows? That could be why they delayed it.
Virtual Console.
Yes. Now Casey, they really have to announce Virtual Console for the E3. So many people have been justifying Nintendo's delay of the Virtual Console release because they are saying that they were saving it for an E3 release. And if they didn't announce anything during this coming presentation, that's going to disappoint so many people.
I feel very strong that it's going to be one of those things where they're going to have their presentation and they're going to say, you can open up the Virtual Console right after this presentation. And like, they're going to have some pretty good flagship game that you can download to kind of, drive people to it. There's going to be something, and I feel like it's going to be effective as of that day.
What I would really love for them to implement is online multiplayer Virtual Console. Wouldn't that be great if they could integrate online multiplayer with all of those classic games that you can that you would want to play multiplayer with?
I think it would be awesome, but I think they just wouldn't do it because that would make I think it would just make people less likely to play newer games that have online, connectivity. It might draw away that, why the only reason we said people would buy Street Fighter 2 now is it has online play. If the Samurai Showdown games we had for Neo Geo had online multiplayer, there's no reason anyone would ever pay $40 for Street Fighter 2 right now.
Right. This is my long shot in this situation. I think it's feasible, and the possibility is there, and it would be something that would make people want to rebuy those Virtual Console games that they're losing from the Wii U or 3DS.
I mean, I feel like that would be an amazing feature. I feel like they would have to charge more than the current monthly fee or the annual fee they have for like that, but I would be totally on board with it.
I wouldn't be crushed if this wasn't a feature in the Virtual Console, because this is honestly just a real big wish based on like the market and what I'd like. But Virtual Console has to be at this E3 announcement in some capacity, at least.
Any other games that you think might get a reboot on the Switch?
That's a good question. There's probably going to be more sports titles that are going to be announced on the Switch.
Yeah.
Even Mario sports titles like Mario Tennis. I'm hoping for Super Mario Strikers. Yeah. There's a lot of games that came out on the Wii U that just didn't get any love because it was on that platform that wasn't as popular. So any game that wasn't popular on the Switch or on the Wii U, I feel could have another shot at it if it goes to the Switch.
I wouldn't mind if Hyrule Warriors came to Switch.
Yeah, that would be cool, though,
Yeah, I think it's already run. It's already, anyone who really wanted to play that has bought it for either 3DS or Wii U. I don't think they
Yeah.
would, but that would be something. All right. Any accessory? Do you think anything from VR we might see?
I don't expect them to really delve into VR. Even as good as the PlayStation VR was as a product, it's still not incredibly popular, and not many people are as sold on consumer level VR systems as of now. So I doubt Nintendo's going to invest too many resources on that, and I doubt they're going to announce anything of that level at E3.
Yeah, I think that they're still trying to get people to accept the Joy-Cons and what it can do, and they really need to focus on that before they even get people thinking about a new type of controller. While people are still like not 100% adapted to this Joy-Con thing.
Yeah. Now I will say that I would not be surprised if they announced new controller color options.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
That's something that will probably be announced, and there could be new accessories and new amiibos that will be announced. But nothing on the VR front.
Okay. And what about third-party titles? Do you think we're getting any good third-party revelations that we've been waiting for?
I feel like there is going to be maybe a sizzle reel of various third-party games that have already been announced or will be announced newly at E3.
Okay.
I feel like a big strategy at E3 should be that that third parties are on board on the Switch. This would be a really good time to show the gaming populace as a whole that third parties are finally supporting a Nintendo console. This could be their chance to do that.
There are two games, or at least two series, that I am holding out hope that I really want to see shown off, even if it's in some sizzle reel like that, or in the third-party developer's own, presentations over the weekend.
Right.
One, I want to see a Star Wars game, like a Rogue Squadron, or something along those lines, or maybe a Battlefront. I think I'm more looking forward to like actual like star fighting. Like I was a big fan of the Rogue Squadron series back on GameCube even, and I would like to see a game of that genre brought onto here. And you know what? There's all the new Star Wars movies. I feel like that's a series that has to make an appearance on this system sooner or later. So I'm hoping for that. Yeah.
It really
The other one is, it's a game I played on Vita. It's a game I felt is, even though Kingdom Hearts isn't a defunct series yet, I'm kind of over with it myself. But the spiritual successor, in my opinion, is the World of Final Fantasy game.
Oh, really?
I really love that on the Vita, and I feel like it would be a great, I don't think they're going to announce a new Final Fantasy for the Switch, but I think if Square Enix was to say they're going to bring that title from the Vita over to the Switch, that would be a perfect place for it. I really think it would attract a bigger audience than the Vita could, and it would be kind of a good sign to say, you know what? This is a good home now for all those Vita games that were really great games, but they only were exposed to a limited audience on that platform, and they could find a new home here. I think that would be a great future home for a lot of those little Vita games that I loved.
I'm actually really surprised because, I have a lot of friends that loved World of Final Fantasy. Even my coworkers loved World of Final Fantasy, and they're not super hardcore gamers. They just have a lot of nostalgia for the franchise. But you, Casey, I remember you being a little over the fact that it's one of those franchise compilations for Final Fantasy.
Honestly, it felt like Kingdom Hearts minus Disney, and because I never cared about the Disney half of the Kingdom Hearts series.
Right.
I guess, you do meet the characters from the Final Fantasy games, but it wasn't super heavy-handed. In fact, it wasn't like a core part of the game. Like, you do meet them, and it didn't feel as just thrown on like it did in let's say, was that Final Fantasy Explorers, where you just summon Final Fantasy characters for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Or like all those iPhone games where you, again, just summon all the Final Fantasy characters for whatever reason. It actually kind of worked into it. It was like you go to their worlds, you learn their stories, there's a reason that you're jumping around. It made a little more sense, and it was a little more charming.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kingdom Hearts without the Disney franchises is a really good way to describe the aesthetic and style of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it also kind of had Pokemon elements of catching.
Yes. Right.
And the adorable graphics and the head stacking characters really made the overall feel of World of Final Fantasy kind of cool. So if that comes out on the Switch, I think it's totally feasible.
Yeah, that's probably I'll say, other than Project Octopath or whatever that I want to hear more of, that's the number one Square Enix title I'm kind of would love to see on there, and maybe one of the higher ups on my third parties in general that I'm rooting for.
Now, on my side, I actually would really like Rocket League to show up on the Switch.
Oh, yeah, I know a lot of people are hard. I never got into Rocket League, but...
Oh, yeah, neither did I. I was a little skeptical of Rocket League. I played it a little bit, and it was fun, but I didn't really dive that deep into it. Once I started seeing like the competitive players and all of my friends picking it up in a bit more of an advanced level, I'm intrigued at just how awesome it can get. Also, the fact that the pro players in Rocket League play with a controller mean that Rocket League on the Switch will be an instant want for those players.
Cool.
That means that they can bring Rocket League on the go with their ideal control scheme and practice whenever they can on the go, wherever. I think that would be perfect. It's a simple control scheme, so sharing the joy would be really easy as well. And it's also not really a CPU intensive game, so it should run just fine on the Switch hardware.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, that's one of those games I feel like if it did announce it, that would win like another 500,000 people to buy the Switch if that just thing was announced.
Right.
I feel. All right, cool. All right, so what about now? Last couple things here. The online service. I mean, obviously, we're pretty sure we're going to get more details on that.
Right.
Do you think there's going to be anything unexpected for it? We're just going to get the price. Maybe the app will be available right after there.
No, I don't think. I think they're probably going to answer all the questions that we have of the online service at E3. Either that, or they're going to announce a dedicated Nintendo Direct for it.
Oh, that's actually probably right. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, I think they'll announce a Nintendo Direct, and maybe like a week later, we'll get all the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
The online service isn't really super headline grabbing, and it's not super appealing on a more consumer level. It's something that Nintendo fans on a more technical level would want to understand. So maybe they won't waste time at an E3 for it.
And do you think we'll get a new Switch model?
I don't think so. Not so soon.
I know. That's my troll question.
No, Casey, how dare you?
All right, so sounds very cool. That's everything we could think of, but if there's anything else that you guys think that you're pretty sure and want to make your predictions and get credit, you can email me at casey@theswitchcast.com, and I will keep track of all your scores, or you can leave a comment in our Facebook or our Twitter, and we'll see, we'll see how many of our dreams or general wishes come true. I did want to share, actually, though, really quickly, one of our community members, Victor Gonzalez, he made a pretty cool little survey for what games people are most interested to see at E3, and the overwhelming winner with almost 80% interest level was Super Mario Odyssey, followed by 65% were interested in Virtual Console, and everything else is a pretty big drop off after that. Maybe a new Metroid, new Pokemon at about 50% each, and new Luigi's Mansion. That was like the next runner up.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that Super Mario Odyssey won out isn't incredibly surprising, just because it's something that's that was pretty much confirmed to be announced in the E3. People are excited for that game, and they know it's coming out with more information, so it's something that they can, that they can grasp onto.
All right, let's close out this show with a little community pulse and just read a couple little feedback we got from our listeners.
Cool.
All right, Community Pulse. We got a couple of emails actually this week, and I want to hit those up first. And Victor Gonzalez, actually following up on the poll, he wrote he decided to write us back in regards to the moral dilemma of Mario Kart 8 that we mentioned last week.
Yeah.
Whether or not to tell people about the steering assist modes and such. And he said, my solution is this. Leave it on until they gain confidence and are feeling good about playing the game. Once they feel that they're good at the game, on the next time around, act stupid and say something like, oh, dude, I didn't even realize what those icons are. You have the handicap on. And then have them try again.
I mean,
nice.
That is definitely a direction you can take with it. I mean, if you know they're going to play again, then that's essentially building their confidence in the game, and from there you can help them improve. So
yes,
that's an interesting route, Victor. Cool stuff. Now, Johnny P did write in response to your Lego City Undercover review from last week, Casey.
Yes. Oh, and actually the subject of this email was, "Oh, how wrong you are, sir."
And you know, I'm a big fan of our fans reaching out to us in very well-written and informed ways about how they disagree. So
yeah, no, I love it. Yes.
So Johnny P said, "Hi, SwitchCast. Hold on there, sir. I'm 49 years old and love Lego City Undercover. Easy for you to say what Lego game is not compared to its peers. Lego games have never been hard or challenging, but the difficulty or challenges are not what bring me back, like Portal would." He reiterates that the ending is an amazing, heart-beating thrill and visual treat that's well worth the journey. It's a very good, relax, and laugh game. Yeah, I feel like Johnny has a really good point. People don't always play games to be challenged. They just want to lay back, enjoy a funny and zany story with endearing characters, and it seems like Lego City Undercover appeals to that mood, regardless of what age you are. So,
I mean, what I was trying to say though was that, yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, obviously, not everyone's looking to be challenged at all. I just felt that the game, even for a Lego game, took away even the little bit of action and control I felt I had in the other ones I had played. I'm comparing the difficulty. I was saying it was easy compared to even things like Lego Star Wars and Lego Lord of the Rings that I played, where at least in those games, I never died, but at least I felt like I was fighting the orcs and monsters in those games, and I would actually maybe block once in a while. Whereas I felt that in Lego City, that system where you literally just hit A once to defeat any enemy really just made me feel like I was playing a quick time event rather than enjoying having fun slashing away at guys. And that just took away a lot of the fun for me. If you do not care about getting that gratification of swinging your staff at some guys and actually fighting, then yeah, that probably means nothing to you. You know, that you'll be fine. Anthony T wrote in, said, "Is ARMS $60 worthy, even though so many people have problem with motion controls?" I mean, if the game controls fine without the motion controls, then that's it. I'm going to try to learn the motion controls, and I do think that more people will adapt to them when they can practice in a non-multiplayer function, in non-multiplayer mode. But, I mean, there's 100 games you play without touch. It's not necessary to make it worth it.
Right. And he also adds a question saying, how would you fix the controls on the regular controller? So, I actually did think of a control scheme for motion controls for the standard controller that might have been better. I feel like if you controlled the movement with both sticks, kind of like in the Virtual On Arcade game, it would give you more control over the direction of your punches. So the left stick would control the direction of the left punch. The right stick would control the direction of the right punch, and you can mix and match based on what's needed. And if you actually want to move, you tilt the direction of both sticks simultaneously in the direction you want to go in. So it could work like that, I think. Christopher Beaumont said, I'm noticing a trend of indie covers of Nintendo software on the Switch. Cubit is Mario Paint, Wargroove is Advance Wars, Yooka-Laylee is, Banjo-Kazooie, that futuristic racing game that came out at launch that wasn't F-Zero. I don't know how I feel about all this. So, in my opinion, I feel like if Nintendo or its second-party developers aren't releasing more iterations of this game, if it's a game that's really desired by players, if the indie people want to pick up the slack and make their own version, I don't see what's wrong with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If Nintendo, people want these genres, like how often JV and I have spent the last, almost a decade now pining for a new Advance Wars. And even though several people have tried to make a cover of it, as you call it there, we really haven't felt anyone's done it yet. So the more people that try it, the better, because it's something we want to play, but Nintendo's, or, Intelligent Systems isn't making it. So someone needs to step up.
Right. And there hasn't been an F-Zero game for a while. So, Shinen Games made Fast RMX in that spirit, and it really scratches that itch. If there's not going to be a game in that franchise, they might as well have indie developers pick up the slack there.
Right. I mean, that's it. They see a gap in the market and they fill in, and that's what's good about the Nindies.
Right. And if these Nindies become popular and Nintendo sees that there's a really large demand for something like this, they might just revive a franchise that they wrote off.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Intelligent Systems, even recently, one of the developers said in an interview that they don't know what to do with the series of Advance Wars. Yeah, they don't know where to go with it, and they understand that people want it, but I think they feel like it's over. They had the Days of Ruin that took it in a different direction, and so they're like, I don't know, where do we go now from it?
Just go back to the beginning, man.
That's probably right. I do think we need to go back to Yellow Star Army versus Blue Moons and Horseshoes, Clovers. Anyway, that's the show. Thank you all for listening. I hope that was as informative as it was incorrect about everything we said. And if you enjoy us bantering here for this hour and a half, why don't you go and take a trip over to patreon.com/theswitchcast. And that is a place where you can go and pledge support. You could say you want to give us $1 a month, more a month, whatever. There's some rewards involved based on your backing level, and that is what really powers us through on this show. It makes everything that we do possible. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't even be able to afford the servers. Also, to support us, visit iTunes, give us a 5-star review. We've been getting a lot of great reviews this week, so I really appreciate that. And if this is your first time and you think the show was great, now's the best time to go there and leave a new one. Again, you can email me, kc@theswitchcast.com. He's jv@theswitchcast.com. And you can follow us at The Switchcast on Twitter. We have a Facebook group. Links to all that in the show notes. And we have a friends list in case you want to add a whole bunch of us on your friends list for the Switch. Thank you, Essa, for the music.
And until next time,
switch it up.